hold on to your butts. It's Wilhelm Screamfest.
That's right, vampires. Me, Tyler, Terror, we're all here again. We're going to just get right to it.
See, I didn't know if you were going to pause again and wait for us to say our own names.
Nope, I'm just going right into it. Today we're going to review the prequel to 40 Days and 40 Nights. That's right, 30 Days a Night. It's not really a prequel, though.
It's more of a pre-sequel, same universe.
Before we get into anything, what happened to Josh Hartnett? Like, is he just not in
Penny
movies
Dreadful.
anymore?
No, he took a break from acting for a long time, and then he came back with Penny Dreadful.
Like,
this is great.
I feel like I didn't really appreciate him like in his prior movies, but so I watched this last night for the first time, and I really liked him in this movie. Like, it's like he should be more, even if it's not just horror movies, but just like a leading man. Like I don't know, like you relate to him, and he seems like not over fleshed out or anything.
Like a level-headed, just normal person in this movie.
I mean, he's got a lot of good movies under his belt, though.
Yeah,
like Halloween H2O, The Faculty, Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down. Wicker Park. If you haven't seen that one, that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
Nope.
And they go to the island.
The Rock?
The Harvest. That's like a Wicker Man.
Lucky Number 11.
Yeah, I haven't seen most of those movies.
Well,
I think I overlook him, maybe just because 40 Days, 40 Nights was like, this was a movie. Like, nothing special. And I guess I just prejudged him. Sorry, Josh.
I've seen him in more horror movies than I have, like, those romance types.
Mm-hmm. Well, he started as the heartthrob, right? Like, he was the teen heartthrob kid, like, loner, like, goofy haircut.
Misunderstood. He was the Jennifer Love Hewitt for women.
So,
No, go ahead.
Oh, 30 Days a Night is pretty much Barrow, Alaska, I think is the city.
Yeah.
Which is the northernest town of USA. They didn't say like what month. It's just in the winter, right? When this happens.
Yeah, it's every year the way the sun or the Earth rotation and all that. It's where it's just night for a straight month up in this town.
I feel like that's the most frightening thing. Like, especially if there's fucking vampires coming after you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but initially you're not like, oh god, it's gonna be that month of night. Here come the vamps.
Yeah, you're just like,
it's just that alone, just 30 days a night. Like, oh god, you're gonna have the people who get depressed around like night or dreary weather.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to hide the alcohol so people don't do stupid shit. So it really becomes, then that's like when you towards like the beginning when they're fixing the sign and the final day before it starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
You see the population drop from like 350 down to like 150.
Mm-hmm.
So even then the community gets real small. So you're going to be seeing the same people like every day or every other day for a month.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I couldn't live a whole month with no sun.
Oh, I could. I basically do.
Hmm.
Just blackout curtains. I only get sunlight from my monitors.
Oh my god. Have either of you guys read the comic book series?
No. I remember seeing the movie and then hearing it was based off like graphic novels and such. So the movie was my first experience into this world.
I know, like, visually, Ben Templesmith's art, he's very simple with his designs, but they're also very violent and visceral, which I think this movie did a really good job of capturing.
Yeah.
This movie was brutal with the carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at first, like, there were some death scenes where they, like, it was off camera. I was like, wait, is this movie rated R? Why are they not showing this? but then as the movie progresses, you're like, holy shit! Oh, that guy's head just got
Yep.
semi chopped off.
That's what I liked, how when they first, you just know the stranger comes into town and just starts, burning the phones, killing the dogs, which could be their like line of defense, taking out the generators and lights or whatever. And then when you first start seeing the interaction with the vampires, all you see is kind of like silhouettes of people off screen and kind of like a shrieking sound. And then, like it shows the person get attacked briefly and then cuts away.
Yeah.
And then later on you'll go like, oh, so-and-so called, we're having an issue here. And then, Eben, who's Josh Hartnett, goes, checks it out, and you see like dude's head on a stake.
Mm-hmm. You're just like, oh, fuck.
It's just like some shit is going down.
I really think the special effects, like especially when a character, he gets an axe to the neck, but like his head's still connected, kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like that was really good practical effects. I mean, there's CGI in there, but I was like, wow, like this looks like a real person's head just got chopped off.
That's the realism to it, as opposed to just, one swing and like, oh, head, clean off.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just like someone who clearly is not a 6'5", 400-pound executioner.
Yeah, like
with
that,
a giant cleaver axe.
That's
like you gotta work at it.
That part gets annoying, like in like zombie movies or like Walking Dead, where like they easily just stab through the skull. Like, you know how hard that is to actually do that? Or is everyone like taking steroids and
they're eating zombie flesh? They get superpowers.
Yeah, that's I don't know, but and like the crunch of like the axe hitting the bones and stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like all that is like, as gross that might be to people, I really love that, like seeing that on film, just because all that hard work put into it. Like that's not one guy, that's like 5 people doing all this stuff, and it comes out, and if people don't even notice it, you did your job right.
Yeah, not something that stuck out, but it's not something that was underwhelming.
Mm-hmm. So this review is gonna be posted on October 19th, which is the 10th anniversary that this movie was released. Can you believe it's been that long?
10 years? No, because I remember checking. I was like, when did this movie come out? Like 2014? And I was like, 2007. Jesus.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really dated. Like, some CGI is a little off, but it's not like in your face, like, wow.
Because it was more like the deaths kind of happened off screen, or the things they did weren't too heavily reliable on CGI or computers that could be outdated with, like, as time goes on, we learn new things and are able to make it more real. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, oh wait, there's some crazy blood spurt.
Yeah.
Or like some weird background image when some guy's head's getting chopped off. So I feel like they did that well, is to not date the movie with their abilities.
And I feel like because it was like centered in a town in the snow, they probably just used a set of like a prior movie before or an actual town and just spent more of that money on like the effects, because it's only a $30 million budgeted movie. So, which isn't, I mean, it's a lot, but honestly not that too much for a movie. Going into it, what'd you guys think of the vampires? Because I feel like every movie has like a different take on a vampire.
I really they made him seem very animalistic, and not like your average day. Like when you first see them, you wouldn't say like, oh, he's a vampire. Mm-hmm. You see it like, what is this feral human?
Yeah. With the like claws and the teeth,
with like the super long nails and stuff. The crazy ass. Every tooth is crazy sharp, jagged. It's not just the two fangs, and they don't in the normal, the common way of a vampire. Just biting your neck, staying there, sucking your blood. Mm-hmm. They go into your neck and just because you can see it, and every time you see their heads just shake so violently.
It's very primal.
Yes, that's almost like what I loved about it.
They're like a vampire / zombie put together, but like a
with super strength.
Yeah, they're just like insane, which makes it even more just terrifying. I really like the look of them too, like not just the teeth, but the eyes look like a shark that smells blood, just all black, like, oh. And then the prosthetics on their face. So like, when you do turn to a vampire, like, your face kind of changed, like your eyebrows come out a little bit, and your cheekbones are more defined.
They have like a pointed feature.
Yeah. I don't know. I've really just enjoyed just a different take, because I was hoping it wasn't going to be like they were going to be talking like Count Dracula or something like that. But
yeah, they have their crazy foreign language that who the hell even knows what it is. And a lot of the time they just talk with like shrieks.
Yeah. Which are so visceral, like to hear.
Very ear piercing, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I had my headphones at like full blast, and I had to turn that shit down because it was just like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah, that's what goes back to like the primal aspect of it, is because they don't always talk with the language. It's more just the sound of, like, if you hear dogs, or coyotes like yipping to communicate.
I just want to say really fast.
No,
I like the pairing of the feral aesthetics of their body with the style of their clothes, because they're so well dressed.
Yeah, like suits and shit.
Like, it's just really interesting, especially since the town's so heavily bundled because of the weather, because of the blizzard, and then they're just like walking around just chilling, styled out,
and like trench coats and shit.
Yeah, that was great.
In the movie, because the one I watched, like my version, it didn't have like subtitles when they were talking. Are there subtitles in it, or just okay? Because I had no idea what's going on when they were like.
Well,
like,
the subtitles are speaking foreign language.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes they'll, like, when they speak the English part, like when there's a certain part when one of the lead vampire is face to face with the character, and they're saying like, like, oh God, please don't do this. And how he looks up at the sky and kind of looks back at her and says, no God. Like, the English parts that they speak, those are subtitled.
Okay.
But otherwise, when they're speaking their foreign language, there are no words.
Like, I'm not sure if I like that or not. Like, I want to know what they're saying, but also I like the mystery aspect where you're like trying to figure out what they're saying and put it together by the actions and their movement and what they're doing.
Yeah, because you can kind of piece it together, like when they're speaking or shriek, and then like after he says something, then they smile, then they rip into the person.
Yeah. Or
break in through the houses and start raiding the town. Although I at the end I do remember although this real fast, I'm gonna get into a spoiler scene.
Okay. Spoilers.
When he's talking, he's speaking in the foreign language to his vampire buddies about how, like, they spent centuries making them think that they were just bad dreams, and they can't leave any proof, so they have to burn the whole town down.
Yeah.
That part, even though he's speaking in the foreign language, that part is subtitled. Okay. But after that, I don't really remember if any of the other parts are like they tell you what they're saying.
When I saw like that happen, I was like, okay, are they just trying to like make everyone come out and like so they don't burn alive? And then like, oh, they're covering it up. Like, oh,
yeah,
that makes a little sense, and this makes for a more epic final scene, which we already got into spoilers, so we'll just talk about it. So Oben pretty much injects infected blood into himself and turns into a crazy vampire to fight the other ones off. Not gonna lie, I was a little underwhelmed just because with like the music that was playing, I figured, okay, he's just gonna fuck every single one of them up. It's gonna be like a crazy hand-to-hand combat, and then the leader is gonna be the last one to go. And that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
I still liked it. It's not what I expected, which maybe is a good thing, because
I feel like it would have been more, for my own taste, more like disbelievable or unbelievable if he just injected himself with tainted blood, goes out there and is just some super strong, crazy, better than all the rest. Whereas this, they injected himself so he could kind of withstand some of the things. That's what my favorite part is, how he just walks up to them, no word said, as the one vampire guy's talking, like, oh, the lone wolf coming out to fight or this and that. Josh Hartnett walks up and just starts punching him in the face. Just no words said at all. It just starts unloading. Then of course, gets tossed around and gets his ass kicked for the most part.
Are we left to believe that all of them died because the sun was coming up?
All the vampires? No.
Yeah.
I'm not. Because, in the very beginning, you see when the stranger is on, like, the snow, he's looking out, and you see that ship. Like, that's where they came from. That's where to my knowledge, that's, like, where they're holed up during the sun, and the stranger or whatever is, like, kind of leading them to places to eat. That's why he wants. Okay, he's like, they're familiar.
Yeah, and, like, there's multiple, like, prequels.
Yeah.
Too, that were all, like, direct to video. And I think the second one follows Stella, but that was, like, it wasn't even worth it. It was, like, set in New Orleans, and this different actress. And
yeah, if you 30 Days a Night, if you take out the 30 Days a Night, what the hell?
Yeah, even as cool as the vampires are, it's
just a vampire movie. Yeah.
Let's see what actors. I really like Bo, the Happy from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah,
like they like hints like, oh, if I can kill anything, I can kill these things. Like, but they never go too much detail of like his backstory, which I kind of like. Like you're trying to figure out. How does
just the outcast that lives outside of town?
Yeah,
and he's the loner, kind of does his own thing.
And that scene where he has the tractor and just chainsawing everyone.
That shit was.
And then he blows himself up.
Yeah, it's just a box of flares just drops and then, pow.
Yeah.
I know. I like when the outcast or like the person you think isn't gonna do anything or like is gonna be selfish actually
the
like,
unsung hero.
Yeah.
That's what, when he's looked like, because it relates back to when Eben gave him the ticket, and he's like, oh, a citation here or there makes him feel like he's part of the community. And then when they're in the attic, and Stella is talking to him and saying, like, we need you here, and he kind of looks around, he's like, well, yeah, all right, so I'm needed. These people don't just view me as some loner, don't care what happens to me type deal. Like, these people actually need my help, and I can make a difference.
Ben Foster, I thought, was
Ben Foster.
He's so good in it. Like, just
he's such a good actor to me.
He's the epitome of like. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten so much more recognition for being such a good character actor as he is.
I feel like he would make a really good Carnage. Like something just not right in the head.
Yeah, because if you've ever seen Hostage with Bruce Willis, that was the first time I've seen him in a movie where he plays like the crazy friend.
Oh, that's right. I haven't seen him in so long.
And then Alpha Dog, where he's just crazy drug dealing fighter brawler.
Yeah, like when he has that scene in the party where he just like owns everybody in the room.
Just kicks the shit out of like several people. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I watched him recently. I got to watch Hell or High Water with him, Chris Pine.
I heard that's an amazing movie.
It's fantastic. He just steals every scene that he's in. I highly recommend watching that movie. But it's like, even too, aside from Ben Foster, like Danny Houston's in this movie too.
Houston is how I go for it.
This is probably like, because he went on to do, like, he's done a lot of films, but in the world of comics, right? He did Wolverine Origins, and then he did Wonder Woman 2 more recently.
Oh yeah.
Well, Wonder Woman 1.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't want to confuse anyone. Yeah, just real fast. This was my first introduction to Danny Houston as well. Like the first movies, because I didn't know he was. Like, I thought they just got like play these parts like foreign actors type deal. I didn't know his backstory or anything like that. So to me, he was always, and everything I saw him in after, I was like, oh no shit, that's the vampire from 30 Days a Night.
Marlowe, apparently.
Fucking Marlowe, yeah.
I really like that there's the foreign aspect, just because it distance you even more from the villain, like the bad guys. Like they're not from here. But you don't know.
It shows how long they've been around.
Mm-hmm. That too.
And like how far they've traveled, just decimating everything they've presumably come across.
And you wonder how many times they've done this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is their big feast every time it arrives.
Well, I mean, I don't know about this particular town, but well, because again, I just watched this last night, so I have a lot of things fresh in my mind from it. You hear him say like, "Oh, we should have come to this place centuries ago."
Mm.
So maybe they didn't know they didn't know this 30 Days of Night even existed. That's why they've had, like, maybe they wouldn't have needed a familiar to like go into all these places, mess with their shit. Then they come in, sweep for the night, and then haul ass, just a one night clean. Whereas here, they got 30 days. They can, stretch their legs, walk around, like not have to be confined to that ship and its hull and all this.
Yeah, I like how the movie is. I kind of wish it was either like a series, like several movies, or just like a TV show, but like a big budget TV show. Because when they cut to like, oh, day 18, and then it's like day 27, like I want to know everything that happened in between, even if it's nothing. I feel like there's a lot of like social things they can build on, like them fighting with each other. It would have
built the community that was in the attic.
Yeah.
Like more character development and all that.
So I feel like the movie was a little too rushed. It's like, I don't think it's even 2 hours long.
I think it's just shy of 2 hours. Because they get into the action like half hour in.
That's my only really gripe with the movie, is I wanted more. But that's just showing that it's a really good movie. If you're fine with a movie, then usually that kind of hints that nothing else could be done. But if you're wanting more, I feel like that's the sign of like a really successful movie.
It's better to leave them wanting as opposed to saying it was too much.
Before we go into the ratings, I really like the camera angles they had, where there's like a top view of the town and you just see like all this mayhem just coming at once. Like the or not the zombies, the vampires are just attacking everyone, and there's someone shooting someone in the head over here, and then over here this person's like running with their kid trying to lock themselves in the door, and then the vampire comes. Like, I feel like that's the best way to showcase how insane this situation actually is.
Like how much of a nightmare it really is. Not just like, oh, we're looking at, this one family where they break through the window and into the house, and then they grab the wife, pull her out, and then the guy's just like, he's holding onto her, she gets drugged under the houses and taken away. Whereas this shows the large scale of around the whole town. This is just, all of this is occurring as opposed to just one isolated incident in a small group.
Tonally, it looks really good too. The contrast between the interior scenes and the exterior scenes, with that, like those blue tones and the warmer tones on the inside.
Yeah,
like the reddish hues, which really, in that sequence with who's it, the outsider Bo, really shines too, because he's got that flamethrower, right? Or is it chainsaw? Or has he got both?
I think he's got chainsaw and he's got flares.
Yeah,
and then that's when he just takes himself out.
Yeah, that sequence just visually looks amazing. In terms of, like, if you took a screenshot of that, it'd be really cool to illustrate.
Yeah, I feel like if a different director took it, like, say, like a Zack Snyder, which I like some of his movies, but I feel like it'd be too dark. He focuses a lot on exaggerating the contrasts of, like, light and dark. So, like, every scene outside, almost pitch black, and you can't, even though it's nighttime, but, like, you can barely see the vampires. I like that there's some sort of light, if it's the moon or whatever, but
the moon reflecting off like the snow and all that.
I feel like that's more realistic. And if you went the Zack Snyder route, although that would be visually appetizing, I feel like it just wouldn't work. Like, you want to put it in a real setting just because it's vampires. So you need something that will connect the viewer to the movie.
Well, I mean, Snyder did the remake of the Dawn of the Dead back in 2000, 3 years before that. I mean, if we're comparing the two, I mean, Snyder's visually is for a zombie film is pretty intense.
Yeah,
like that. I guess this is a bit off topic, but I mean, like talking about just zombies compared to vampires too. I mean, these vampires are very feral, whereas the zombies are also very feral.
Yeah,
in Snyder's version. And their movement is so intense, which we experienced zombies moving like that in 28 Days Later. But like having those, like by the end of that film, it's more just the general suffocation of all the zombies that you start to experience.
Yeah, I think what I meant more was Snyder's more recent movies have been very the same, but Dawn of the Dead is a good example of what maybe could have been if he did 30 Days a Night. But that movie is just great in its own sense, and that's the first thing I really thought of when I like finally saw the vampires in this movie. Like, these guys are crazy, just like the Dawn of the Dead, 20 Days Later zombies. Like, they're gonna come after you and they'll find a way.
When they run on like all fours.
Oh god.
Oh yeah,
terrifying.
I completely forgot about that.
See them all like crawling around and shit on the rooftops, as opposed to just like normal, like sophisticated walking around.
Yeah, because I haven't seen. There's so much of this movie that I haven't, like, I remember in my head, but I haven't watched it. I've probably seen it maybe like 3 or 4 times in the past 10 years. And I was just looking at the Wikipedia page, and I never realized that Sam Raimi was a producer on it.
Yeah, I saw that too, which I mean, you can see some of his influence in it, but not too much. But I think him supporting it is probably what helped, like, greenlight the movie, just because he's so centric in the horror universe.
Yeah. Definitely.
I guess we can go to ratings. I guess I'll start off first. I would give this a 4 out of 5, a flat 4. I wanted to like it more, but I feel like compared to other vampire movies, it's not the best. It's up there, but it's definitely not the best. I really admire the fact that it takes vampires into a new direction, and there's not like holy water and garlic, and all you really have is the sun aspect is the main threat to them. They don't fly around or anything, or if they do, you don't really see it. I like this rabid wild man version of the zombies. All the characters good. I liked how some characters had like some backstory behind them that added more suspense to the movie, like the father with Alzheimer's. I feel like that was the most stressful part of the movie, just watching it like, oh no, stop yelling. Or like feeling bad, like, because he's asking where his wife is, and his wife died like years ago or something like that. Yeah, overall it's a good movie. I just didn't think it was like a perfect film or anything. What'd you guys take on it?
Go ahead, Terry.
All right. If I'm going to give it a rating, I'll give it a 3.
3?
I'm not in love with it. I don't hate it. There's a lot of aspects that I enjoy as far as the depiction of the vampires and the community and the characters that I wish we got to see more of. But I feel like there's a lot of lulls in the film that there's a build up to something, and then it just like plateaus, and it's a while before we catch up to anything again. And then I was just really disappointed with Josh Hartnett's character dying. Like, I kind of wish that at the end of it he did survive in some way, like
a hybrid or something, or just stay in the shadows.
like if he just would have, like, even though he injects himself and then he takes out all these vampires, he like still like proceeds on, like, and he revisits or comes back later,
like the town protector.
Yeah, like something like that. There's and especially it being comic book related, that seems like a path take, but I understand the ending as it is. I mean, that's just me personally. That's what I would have liked. But just judging the film as it is, it's definitely a 3 for me. It's not like something that I need to own in my collection. If somebody wants to watch it, I'll watch it. But it's not something that I'm so in love with that I need to continually watch it every.
Okay. I can
Right.
agree with that.
I'm gonna give it a 4 because agreeing with Terror and you earlier, I would have liked to see Billy's character more. Just how in the beginning he seems like such, like a family man talking about Peggy and like, oh, this is our first date. Like, oh, you can stay with us, but you gotta explain like Peggy and I, what's going on between you and Eben. And then when they meet up with him again, his wife and 2 kids he killed and laid in bed, and he was gonna kill himself, but the gun jammed. So I would have liked to see his devolving process of how he got to that point. But I really enjoyed this like fresh take on like the vampire creature. Whereas the whole movie, even though I think at one point the kid says, be like, oh, the vampires, they drank grandma or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's impossible. Vampires don't exist. So without that mention, you could have gone this whole movie and not even known they were vampires based off the way they moved, the way they fed and hunted and killed. And you could have just thought like, wow, these are just some crazy feral creatures that are also like have real humanistic qualities.
Yeah, like they're kind of like I Am Legend, where they're not really zombies.
Right.
Like
they're not zombies or they're not vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But they're supposed to be vampires.
They're supposed to be vampires, but like when I first saw the movie, I was like, I have no clue what the fuck these night ghouls are, what they're supposed to be. Like whether if there were some pre-made mythos of zombie or vampire, or if they're just their own thing. We're like, oh, they eat people or whatever the hell, but they can't go out in sunlight. So I really like the feralness and the animalistic aspect of these vampires, but I would have liked to see more stories based off of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And this is always a movie. If I see it on TV, I'll always like just put it on in the background, just because it's so much fun for me to watch.
I remember there was a time when this was like always on TV, but
yep, like sci-fi.
Yeah,
sci-fi was a big one. Sometimes Spike.
And now I feel like it only comes around during the Halloween season now, which
if that.
Yeah, I feel like this is a Blu-ray bargain bin movie now, where like it's past its phase. I feel like it will get a resurgence maybe when like a vampire craze starts happening.
Once the zombie phase turns into whatever's coming next.
Yeah, which I already think zombies are fading out. They've been fading out the last few years, especially with Walking Dead losing viewership and everything. Everyone's just kind of sick of zombies now. I
think Walking Dead is the only one of the main reasons that it dragged on this long.
Mm-hmm. But
although I would like to give a little shout out that you can hear the Wilhelm scream in this movie.
Oh my god, yes! When I heard that, I was like, oh my god, I didn't know this was, because I looked like see what movies actually use that sound effect, and when I heard that, I was
it's like in the beginning when this guy just gets chucked off a roof or something, and you just hear the scream. Yeah,
it's just a great sound effect. Like there's so much history behind it, and people don't even know what it is. Like I'm sure anyone that's seen a movie has heard of it before, and I love they don't change it. It's the same clip, so it's so outdated. But when you hear it, it's
like, how can that child make that scream?
Yeah, it's so good. I love it.
To Terror's also credit when he was talking, and I think you were as well, about like the aesthetics of like the dark colors, like the blues and grays. If I remember correctly, like I think during the logo in the beginning, or it might have been at the end, but when it fades into the next transition, like the blue and the gray is still there. So that kind of like sets the tone, or is like already set the tone.
Yeah.
Or for like how the film's going to be.
This is going to be a really weird thing about me.
Perfect.
But I really like the cold weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then when I watch a movie that's in cold weather, I'm very like comforted by it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
you feel like cool.
Yeah, like I feel like, I don't know, like, oh, I just want to get cozy and like bundle up and stuff like that. And then when wintertime does come around, and just thinking about like going through a blizzard like this and having to fight people seems so tiring.
It seems exhausting. Even if it's the goddamn summer night, I'm exhausted. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, it's just like when you're in cold weather and it's like blizzard settings, you go out there and it's like you'll be out there for 5 minutes and it'll feel like you've been out there for hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just takes so much out of you. And
when the air is so cold and it just burns with every breath.
Yeah, you know, like your face, like anything that's exposed, you know, you just starts to frost over, and yeah, it's just and then it's even worse too because you get into like warm weather, right? And then it's such a shock to your body that it's just too much. You know, like you feel worse and worse, and having to be vigilant and fight vampires. Fuck that.
Super strength vampires, yeah, super fast.
Oh shit!
After the first, I'd have walked out like, fuck it, it's not worth it. Take me, I'm done. Can't do it. It's miserable.
Yeah, I definitely want to rewatch this movie though.
Juice.
Like, there's some good aspects of the movie that will bring back rewatchability of it. Especially like watching again, I feel like I've noticed the color difference and the uses of color, because yeah, I noticed it a little bit, but not too much as you guys were going into detail. Definitely want to see that again, and just overall the effects are just great in this movie.
There are also subtleties that the first time I watched it I didn't catch, but the next time is when you see certain characters like moving through the snow. If you look on the rooftops behind them, you'll see the movement of the vampires.
Really?
And like, yeah, or like you'll see like them watching and then like kind of go behind the roof, and then like the next scene the people are getting attacked.
That's cool.
So yeah, you could they're just such good predators in this movie.
I think we said everything we need to say about this movie, though. Pretty much we're all agreed, go watch it. It's not the best movie ever. It's not the worst movie ever. It's right in the middle, maybe a little bit above. It's not on any streaming site right now, so
it's not. Yeah, I rented it on Vudu.
Yeah, either rent it, find a stream, or buy it in the bargain bin, because I'm assuming it's there since it's October season. If you want more of this, go to wilhelmscreeners.com. We got 31 horror reviews this month. I'm not sure I'm doing for November. I'm thinking I'm going to review Thanksgiving again, just because that movie is amazing.
Hell.
That movie's amazing.
Thanksgiving. You're not going to do 30 days of Lifetime movies?
Oh God, no.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't think I can get past like day 2.
Just whatever's on the Hallmark Channel.
That just sounds like a terrifying experience.
Hallmark Channel for all the Christmas movies, man. There you go.
I'll just review Die Hard and stuff like that.
For even saying that.
But yeah, thanks you guys for coming on again. We need to do another episode where we're doing some trivia or something where we can, I don't know, just argue about 3 movies. I feel like we can, like 3 of us would make it really entertaining.
That's fine. We can
I'll argue about anything, even if I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Deadpool sucked.
What, are you familiar with like Check Please? That show? It's like a PBS program. No,
because I had a happy childhood.
It's a great show. So essentially what they do is there's a panel of 3 people, right? Just regular everyday people. They each pick a restaurant, right? And then everybody on that panel has to go to that restaurant, and then they review it and they talk about their experience of said restaurant. And it's great because, you know, people are putting like their favorite restaurants on the line, and then everybody else rips on them. And like it's a lot of people arguing.
I don't handle criticism.
Yeah, but I'm just like, we can each just pick a movie you know, and if we've seen it, great, you know. If not, if it's something different, which would probably be even better.
Yeah, because that way you
we
don't
can
have
just talk about it that way.
like oh god, this movie, and you go and just like this movie sucks.
I like that idea, but I won't do Back to the Future just because Tyler hates Back to
That
the
movie's
Future.
garbage.
You know what? We're ending the podcast with
That whole series sucks.